What's up, y'all? It's Kaz with Midnite Lights Gaming, bringing you my first Sifu tutorial, this a Grandmaster, where I'm going to try and help you get the gold stamp, which is all 3 coins, and getting 8,000. In fact, not just getting 6,800, but getting 8,000. And I'm going to give you some tips while I play this half speed, just because I think that's the most helpful way to do this tutorial, and it doesn't require me to edit very much to get something online for folks as soon as possible, because I know this one's giving people trouble. Okay, tip number 1, the most big mega tip that you need to keep in mind is you just got to be really aggressive. You cannot practice patience. You cannot scoot around and kind of wait for them to come to you. You got to be doing damage every second of every day. You got to be striking first, striking hard, and no mercy. So that is tip number 1. Doing a lot of damage, staying on the front foot, and being very proactive, just very aggressive. And of course, you have to take very little damage while you do that to keep your multiplier at ×3. The second tip I have for you are just some benchmarks. You want to kind of think about 2, 3, 3. So in the first wave here, you want to get 2,000 points, and then in the second and third wave, you want 3,000 each. That'll get you to 6,000. So I'm sort of aiming for 2,000 in this first wave, and I just find those benchmarks help me so I know whether I should keep going or if I should give up. It can save a lot of time. So 2, 3, 3, that's my recommendation for you. Each wave has sort of a boss-ish person. This guy's really not too tough. Sometimes I save the boss for the end, but you'll see in the next round, I do try and do some damage early on too. All right, tip 1, be aggressive. Tip 2 is those benchmarks. Tip 3, so before I get to tip 3, let's just talk about her for a second. So she is very annoying. Her kicks can really kind of get you out of your groove, and that was a big mistake. I wanted to use that on her because what I try and do is get rid of about half of her life right when she enters the arena. So I run over, I sweep her, I pick her up, I'll do a punch to the face, a focus move, and then I'll sweep her again and do a bit more damage, and then I'll take all of these guys on. All right, so tip number 3 is not only do you need to be aggressive, I actually think with this update, you can worry a little bit less, and maybe this was true before arenas, but you can worry a little bit less about like being super original. Like you should mix it up. It does seem like you get diminishing returns if you just do the same attack over and over again. But I honestly didn't worry that much about that. I didn't really worry about whether or not I used a weapon or was doing too much damage. I tried not to do takedowns for everyone, but I did quite a few takedowns. And you're going to see in this round and the next one, I actually do take, a bit of damage. So be persistent, stick with it. Even if you think you're not doing as well as you need to, just remember those benchmarks. So I don't think you need to be as original. You can use takedowns. Don't worry about using a weapon. I did try and stay kind of original, but I wasn't like trying to do moves I don't normally incorporate or anything. I just stayed really aggressive and just, kept my meter as high as I could. Now, of course, tip number 4 here is the mighty cowbit. The mighty cowbit, I wouldn't have got to 8,000 without it. The second I got to a ×2, I tried to, as quickly as I could, get to the mighty cowbit. Now, let's talk a little bit about the point system now. So you don't go to ×2 right when you get hit, or you don't go down a whole multiplier. You lose quite a bit of bar. So maybe you just lose a little less bar now, but that's important to keep in mind. Again, where you can like kind of stay cool and stick with it, even if you're getting knocked around a teeny tiny little bit. Now, remember with her, the number 1 thing to do is right when she starts... Ooh, that hurt. Right when she starts an attack, I try and do a crotch punch. I don't know that I end up really needing to here. But as soon as... if you have her one-on-one, a crotch punch right when she starts her moves is really the secret sauce for her. But you can see I'm almost at 5,000, so at this point I'm like, maybe I'm surprised I didn't punt or think about punting, because I still need to get 300 points. Yeah, I wouldn't use a weapon against her. It's way easier to just use crotch punch. So, and when the enemies do give you quite a bit of points, so keep that in mind. So I'm right at 5,000. I'm really flirting with this the whole way. So I got to get to 8. This is the last round. Okay, we've talked about the mighty cowbit, be aggressive. We've talked about not worrying too much about being original, using weapons, takedowns. Just do whatever you have to do to keep it at 3. Now, I will kind of give you some quick tips around taking on groups because, of course, that's a huge part of Arena. I'm going to try and make a tip video all about it, but just while we're here, I try and pay attention to about 2 tangos at a time. The one whose butt I'm trying to kick and someone else nearby. And if there are 3 near me, I'm trying to sort of pay attention to all 3 so that I can kind of see who's creeping up and about to attack and make sure I'm ready to avoid or deflect. And then I am trying to sort of spread the love. So I'm going to do 1 or 2 hits on one person, then I might move to another person. I might try and do a couple hits and do a sweep to kind of preoccupy them, knock them down for a little bit so I can focus on someone else. I might do that with a palm strike as well, like anything to sort of, push them around. So those are some quick tips on sort of crowd management. I do try and keep everyone in front of me, but of course, when you get in the thick of it and in arenas, people are going to get behind you. I mean, it's a ton of bogeys. So you can see I'm down at times too a little bit. In some ways, I'm surprised. I feel like I've had better runs that didn't get to 8,000. All right, if you don't know enough about sort of Sean's disciple here, the shirtless guy, he basically has 2 moves he's going to throw at you so long as you don't sort of poke the bear. So if you wait for him to strike, he's going to do a kind of take a few steps at you and then do a kick that you want to just avoid, and then he'll jump up and he'll do 2 kicks. So it's just sort of like avoid, wait a second, then avoid, and after that second avoid, there's a vulnerability window. The other one, which when he stays on the ground, you just want to hold L1 until his last strike. Here it is right here. So that's his last strike, and that one's deflectable. And it will open up a really wonderful vulnerability window. And I did find, this is a good tip too, actually, that deflecting helped. I'll try and see if I do another one to see if it actually gets me points. It didn't get me points, but it certainly keeps your meter. It does impact your meter. Yeah, damn, I'm surprised. It's a good thing I used that cowbit. You're gonna see I just get like 100 over. But hopefully this helps. Hopefully it helps you kind of understand a little bit about how to do this, and the benchmarks helped. Honestly, once I figured out I had to be super aggressive, I just kind of had to learn how to play that way a little bit. I had to like adjust a little bit so that I'm not waiting for strikes. I'm being way more on the front foot. And you can use this sort of raining strikes as a means of getting a few last points. I'm not sure how much it helps, but like and subscribe, and also hit me up in the comments if you've got some tips too, because I'm really curious what other folks are trying. It's early on. These tips videos always kind of evolve, but hopefully that helps a little. Appreciate y'all, and I'm in my push to 1,000 subs, so definitely sub.